As far as being terminated because of your disability, who do you think took that action? And if it's multiple people, then you can explain that.
I believe it was DMA. I think that they just got tired of having to be held accountable for what they were doing to me and what they were not adhering to, especially in regards to the treatment of the cadets. And I think that they didn't like that they knew that I knew that the things weren't being adhered to. I brought that to their attention, especially with the meeting with senior HR on November 21st of 2019. So I think that they had reason to retaliate against me because of it.
But do you think that the director at the time of your termination was the one that made the decision? Who do you think made that decision? Or do you think it was multiple people? And if so,
I think it was multiple people.
do you have specific people that you think were part of that collective decision making?
Throughout the process, or just in the terms of termination?
Termination.
I believe HR, senior HR, Stacy Meyer, because she should know the handbooks and the policies and procedures, and she knows that the emails I provided to her had shown how those weren't adhered to, and how I was provided incorrect information by her staff. I also believe it was, I think, Colonel Moore, but probably just because she's been provided with information from Meyer, and probably the director at the time, both Pavlock and Greenwood. I'm guessing Kruger and Paulson, but I don't know. I think that they just got tired of me trying to. I just would. I don't know why it was. I mean, that would be for them to answer. But that, I believe it was DMA, and specifically Stacy Meyer, probably Colonel Moore, I believe it is, and then at the academy, Andrew Paulson, Debbie Kruger, and the directors.
Give me a second. All right. All right. I don't know that I have any other questions. I will say, Attorney Simcox, I'll give you an opportunity if you feel like you need to do any cross-examination following that.
I think that what you've asked is sufficient.
All right.
Nothing further.
All right. Ms. EIRSCHELE, is there anything that you feel like you need to clarify following those questions?
I don't think so at this time.
All right. So it's 12:38. The party's ready to take a lunch break.
Yes, I think so.
Would we like to do 30 minutes again, or an hour, or 45 minutes, or somewhere in between? Or I know, Ms. EIRSCHELE, I think you're going to be sending over
Yes, I'd
those
like to send out
exhibits.
maybe 45 minutes just to give
45
me time
minutes,
to
so let's say
have lunch and do that.
125. We'll say 125. Let me go ahead and stop the recording. All right. All right, we are recording again. September 24th, 2024. It is 1:47 p.m. We had a discussion off the record. Ms. EIRSCHELE provided some exhibits that she had previously stated on the record thought she had in her packet, but wasn't in there. It consisted of FMLA documentation and some doctor's notes, one undated and one just doctor's notes within the FMLA documentation. As I indicated earlier, today was the first day the parties were aware of this. The respondent objected for a number of issues, timeliness, relevance, and some other ones. I have determined that they will be excluded. This is not an FMLA case. It does not appear that there was any notice to the respondent of the existence of these, and while the respondent was certainly aware that this is a disability case, I'm not sure that these records meet any burden of proving a disability. And as I've indicated to Ms. EIRSCHELE, she provided testimony that may go to perceived disability, but in terms of providing competent medical evidence to prove a disability existed, I'm not sure that these documents would necessarily meet that. So any prejudice to the complainant seems minimal in excluding it. And by having them admitted, there's little to no probative value. So that's my determination that I'm placing on the record. Ms. EIRSCHELE closed her testimony, and I believe she's moving to her next witness. Is that correct, Ms. EIRSCHELE?
Yes.
Do you need time for Ms. Rapp to get back on?
I sent her a text message.
All right.
I can see, but I could give Sarah a text too. They'll probably be this afternoon then.
For Ms. Chapman, you were saying?
Yes.
I would assume so. It depends on your questioning of the witnesses and cross-examination. However, based on earlier questioning, I would assume so.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, Judge?
She was asking if Ms. Chapman would be later this afternoon, and I said I would assume so. I don't foresee this testimony, for example, taking up the rest of the afternoon.
Hi, Colleen.
You are muted.
Oh.
Ms. Rappes, yeah.
Hello.
Hello. All
Hi,
right.
Colleen.
Thank you for joining. Ms. EIRSCHELE has called you here as a witness. Are you prepared to testify? All right. If you can please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Right, you can lower your right hand. I will note that this is being recorded. It's video recorded. You might see a red dot in the upper left-hand corner. That's where I have it. That's the official recording for this hearing. Ms. Ursley is going to ask you some questions, and then afterwards, no, attorney for the respondent will ask you some questions. If you hear an objection from the attorney, if you can please wait until I address that before providing a response. All right, Ms. Ursley, you can ask questions.
Okay. Hi, Colleen. Can you please tell me, can you confirm the date that you began at the Challenge Academy?
I apologize, and that's my mistake. If you can spell your name for the record.
Yeah,
Ms.
first name is Colleen, Coleen. Last name is Rapp, R-A-P-P.
Right, I apologize, Ms. Ursley. Go ahead with that question again.
Okay. Can you please tell me, can you please confirm the date that you began your employment at the Challenge Academy?
I began in September of 2019.
Okay. And what position did you hold?
Confidential secretary.
Okay. Are you still employed at the academy?
No.
No. Can you please describe any type of what you experienced, what type of work environment you experienced at the academy?
I would say it varied. I was there for approximately 3 years, and there was 3 different directors in the time that I was there. So I would say when I first started, when Director Greenwood was there, it was an efficient place to work, I would say. I didn't notice anything. I didn't notice anything unusual. I don't remember when Director Pavlock started. I don't have the dates. However, I will say once Director Pavlock took over, there was definitely a shift as far as morale. I would say the academy became a much more negative place to work. And then again, I don't recall the date that Director Joni Matthews began her employment there. I would say that things improved when Director Matthews was there, and I think she was trying to get things on a better track at the academy. That was ongoing still when I left in January of 2023.
Okay. During your time at the academy, did you witness any incidents of fraternization to include favoritism among the employees?
I'm going to object to this question on the basis of relevance regarding Ms. Ursley's claim as it relates to discrimination and retaliation against her.
Yeah, Ms. Ursley, if you have a more specific concern as it relates to your complaint.
Did you know any different treatment towards me versus my colleagues, my coworkers who had the same job title?
I'm going to object on foundation. I believe Attorney Simcox earlier this morning had asked as to Ms. Rapp's position, building location, and whether Ms. Rapp had any direct knowledge of Ms. Ursley's claims.
I remember the line of questioning. I am going to overrule. However, I did note what was discussed, so it may potentially lead to inconsistencies in testimony, but I recall the testimony did not potentially exclude some of this testimony from coming in, but it may have limited some of what occurred. So I'll let the question be asked.
So did you notice that if I was treated differently than my coworkers, which would have been Amy Ritter, Julie Katona, and then Ken Wiesman, and Amy Lutke. I know it was a while ago.
Can I ask for clarification?
Just types of opportunities that I were given, or if you had been informed that of anything that I was assigned to do different things than them, or just any type of different treatment.
I'm going to object on foundation. I don't
I'm
know
gonna
that.
go ahead.
Sorry, Judge, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I know what you're getting at, Attorney Petering. I'm gonna allow the questions. I'm gonna give some latitude to the pro se party here, but your objection is on the record.
Thank you, Judge.
Do you understand the question, Ms. Rapp?
Yeah, I was just going to answer that as far as opportunities or duties, I'm not aware of any.
Okay, that's okay. Have you personally observed or experienced any instances of unfair treatment of employees?
Object to relevance.
It's a direct question that I will allow, but I know what your objection is, and we'll see where it goes, but I'll overrule it this time.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Have you personally observed or experienced or have been aware of any instances of unfair treatment of employees?
Yes.
Could you please elaborate on that?
I just know that within my building specifically, some employees were they were allowed to do things differently. They were allowed more latitude, I would say, on sort of policies than others.
Okay. And is there a reason why you think that may be?
Object to foundation.
Yeah, so I'm going to sustain. So, obviously the value of that last statement is minimal, Ms. Ursula, and I understand that you're trying to, get to the questions without testifying. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate that you indicated you might not know exactly her level of knowledge of the situation. Would you object, Ms. Ursula, if I ask some questions and then allow you to ask some questions after?
Sure.
All right. Ms. Rapp, you began at the Academy in September of 2019, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. When did you first meet Ms. Ursula?
It would have been right around the time that I started there. I believe we were introduced relatively quickly.
All right. And did you interact with Ms. Ursula on a regular basis during your employment?
Yes. Miss Ursula would come over and check the mail in my building. I would say almost daily, several times a week.
And about how long would she stay in that building whenever she came?
Outside of the occasional, I guess, chit chat visiting, she usually just checked the mail and left, for my recollection.
All right. Who else was in the particular office that you were located in?
The director, and I've already gone into, there was 3 different ones. Deputy Director Keith Kruger was also located in the building, as was the business manager, Sarah Chapman. And myself. There was 4 of us that worked in that building.
Did the director have his or her own office within that space?
Yes,
Did the deputy director have his or her own office in that space?
the deputy director?
Yep.
Yeah.
And did the business manager have his or her own office in that space?
Yes.
All right. Are you aware of who Ms. EIRSCHELE reported to when she was working at the academy?
Well, I believe that would have been her supervisor, which I would have been Drew Paulson initially when I got there. And then at some point it was Ken Weisman.
All righty. And then who did Mr. Paulson report to?
I believe it would have been Mr.
All right. So the deputy director.
Possibly the director. I guess who his direct supervisor was. It was one of the two.
And I didn't ask in this office space, do you have a set office or are you in an open area?
When Miss EIRSCHELE was there, I was in an open area. Afterwards, due to COVID, I did get a small office space, but I believe that was after her employment ended.
Okay. Did Miss EIRSCHELE ever come over to speak with Deputy Director Kruger during your time there that you recall?
I don't independently recall that. I'm pretty sure she did. I would say I had seen her over there in his office.
All right. So you've noted them having some conversations, but otherwise there was nothing noteworthy to your recollection?
No.
Do you recall her having conversations with, we'll start with Director Greenwood?
I don't know that I recall conversations with Director Greenwood.
All right. Do you recall if she had any conversations with Director Pavlak?
Yes, that I do recall.
When was the first time she had a conversation that sparked your, I guess, memory of it?
Yeah, I don't remember the date, but I did instance where I don't know or if it
You're
was
kind of, I apologize. I don't know if it's on my end only, but you're kind of breaking up there.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so I didn't want to lose the testimony. So,
okay, I can start over.
okay, thanks.
I don't recall if, I guess I don't know if she was called over to this meeting or if it was a prearranged meeting. I'm not. But yes, there was one instance where she was meeting with Director Pavlak and he indicated that he was going to keep the door open so that I could, I guess, overhear the meeting.
All right. Did he say that when she was there or prior to her arrival to you?
When she was there.
Okay. And what was your reaction when you heard Director Pavlak say that?
Nothing.
All right. I guess why did it strike you as a noteworthy request? Because it's something obviously that has stuck in your mind. What was
Mhm.
noteworthy about that request?
I guess given my prior work, I knew that he wanted a so-called witness in case, just an extra set of ears on things, I guess you could say.
Were you able to listen in on that meeting?
Yes.
Do you
The
remember
door.
what was? Do you remember what was discussed?
I really don't recall specific. I believe he was going over a document with her. It may have been a disciplinary document that they were discussing, but I don't recall the specifics.
Did Miss EIRSCHELE say anything to you after that meeting?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall any other meeting between Miss EIRSCHELE and Director Pavlik?
No, that's the only one I remember.
Has Miss EIRSCHELE ever raised any concerns to you about the work environment at the academy?
I don't think we had any specific conversation about the work environment, not that I recall.
Right. Did Miss EIRSCHELE ever raise concerns about Mr. Paulson with you?
Not that I remember.
Did Miss EIRSCHELE ever raise concerns about Director Greenwood to you?
Not that I recall.
And did Miss EIRSCHELE ever raise concerns about Director Pavlik to you?
Not that I recall.
Right. Did Miss EIRSCHELE ever discuss the treatment of cadets to you?
No,
Did you ever overhear her discussing the treatment of cadets to others in the office?
I did not overhear Miss EIRSCHELE discuss the treatment of cadets. No,
Um, did she ever raise any other concerns about the academy not following certain policies or procedures to you?
to me, no.
Did you ever overhear her raising any of those concerns to other people in the office?
I did not overhear anything. No,
Do you know if Miss EIRSCHELE has a disability?
I don't know.
Have you heard anyone in the office discussing whether she had a disability?
No,
All right, Miss EIRSCHELE, I've asked some questions. You're by no means locked into what I've asked. That was my attempt at trying to get some relevant
Yes.
testimony out. You're free to
I
ask
appreciate
whether
that.
the questions that you have.
Okay.
If you feel like after asking my questions, there's other questions that you have. And again, obviously subject to any objections.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying on those questions. I think that was helpful. One document I wanted to talk about was the cooperative agreement. Have you actually read it? Did you read it when you were employed there?
yes, I was required to read it.
Okay. So one of the statutes or one of the points in the cooperative agreement describes the participants as being federal employees and then not federal employees. It depends on the situation. Which from what we've been talking about at least yesterday here.
So, Ms. EIRSCHELE, I'll stop there. And obviously, she wasn't privy to any testimony. I can pull up that exhibit if you want to pull
Okay.
up the exhibit.
Thank you. Thank
Do you
you.
recall which exhibit number it is? If not, I'm sure I can find it.
I don't have. I think it's on page 4 of the cooperative agreement.
I'm gonna have to
Here
look
it is.
back in my notes. The one.
My PDFs are so small. 650. Specifically 653 and 654.
So this is 653.
Yes, and could you scroll up just a little bit more so that both can,
Oh, like scroll down like this.
there you go. Yep, just like that. Are you familiar with this portion?
And Miss Rapp, if you would like me to obviously show you the from the top. Oh, it looks like this was the top of the cooperative agreement that was previously moved into evidence.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay.
So in particular, she wants to go to, and it looks like this would be under Section 201 obligations of the grantee or the state. All right, Ms. EIRSCHELE.
Are you familiar with this information being given and provided to any of the cadets or participants?
Now that I'm looking at that, I'm vaguely recalling this part of the cooperative agreement. However, I don't recall when that would have been given to the cadets. I don't know if that's something that was in their admissions packet that I did not.
Are you aware of any documentation, like posters that are at the academy informing the cadets about this information?
Posters at with this specific cooperative agreement information?
Yes.
And so to clarify, right, I think she's talking about the highlighted section only. And if
Yes.
you can't read it, I know sometimes on the screen it's going to be hard to read, but
A moment, because the print is awfully small, so I just want to make sure I'm. Yeah, I remember seeing this, but I don't know when or how it was provided to the cadets.
Okay. To your knowledge, is this document or any form of this passage provided to the stakeholders or school officials?
I don't know that it was provided in any of the meetings that I mailed out in my course of business there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm not 100% sure.
During your time at headquarters, did you observe any unusual activity or anything that you would consider unusual, specifically prolonged meetings between Paulson, Kruger, and Greenwood, and or Pavlock it would be, Director?
I'm going to object to this question on the basis of relevance, and it's very ambiguous.
right. So, it's potentially relevant. I know what you're trying to get at, Miss EIRSCHELE, but it's definitely vague and probably lacks foundation for that reason. So, for example, you notice when I asked questions, I was trying to be very specific about, what she recalls. That one seems, especially with that number of players, like pretty open-ended. I don't know if there's a way for you to try to either limit the time frame, since you have more direct knowledge than I would have had, of events.
Let's see. Did you notice Paulson, Greenwood, and Kruger meeting together frequently, and then it changing after I was not there either for FMLA or no longer employed there?
Same objection.
So I think it could have probably been phrased a little better. So Ms. Rapp, did you take note of the frequency that Director Greenwood would meet with Deputy Director Kruger?
Yes.
During your first months there, how often would you say that they met?
I would say almost every.
All right, and about how long would those meetings be?
You're talking about Director Greenwood and Deputy
And
Director.
Director Kruger, right?
Would say 30 minutes or so, maybe.
Did both Director Greenwood and Deputy Director Kruger have a meeting with Director Paulson on a regular basis during your first few months there?
Yes.
How often would they meet?
I don't recall with Director Greenwood so much. I do recall with Deputy Director Krieger, Mr. Paulson would often be in his office for prolonged meetings.
All right. And would those be daily, a few times a week? How often would you say that would occur?
I don't know that it was daily, but several times a week.
All right. At any point during your employment, did the frequency of those meetings ever change between Deputy Director Krieger and Mr. Paulson?
I would say once, well, towards the end of my employment there, it wasn't as.
All right. And was Mr. Paulson still in that same position at that time, or was he in a different position?
No, Mr. Paulson started, he was the supervisor of the admissions department, and then he moved the IT person. IS, I think they called him. I'm not sure what that abbreviation is for, but
All right. Did the frequency of the meetings between Deputy Director Krieger and Mr. Paulson change when his job position changed? Or no?
I don't think it did initially. I recall it. I recall those meetings going down, like I said, more towards the end of my employment there. So
Okay.
Mr. had been in that IT position for quite some time and still having those frequent meetings with the deputy director.
All right. When Deputy Director Krieger met with Director Paulson, how many times can you recall that Director Greenwood would have been in that meeting?
So the three of them,
Correct.
I don't speculate, but I would say a handful.
Okay. Whenever Deputy Director Krieger would meet with Mr. Paulson, would he subsequently meet immediately with Director Greenwood, or you don't recall?
Not always.
All right. Do you know if Ms. EIRSCHELE ever took FMLA leave?
I think I do recall that, yes.
Do you know when that might have been?
I don't recall, even the months, but generally I would say just before her termination, I believe.
All right. And then the change in frequency with the Deputy Director Krieger and Mr. Paulson meeting would have been sometime after that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Because you indicated it was more towards the end of your employment.
Correct, yes.
All right. So, Ms. EIRSCHELE, again, you can ask whatever questions you want. And I understand, you're pro se, but hopefully you can kind of see how I'm trying to ask questions to lay a potential foundation. And maybe, obviously the respondent's going to give me deference. And so maybe they would have objected if I'm not the administrative law judge. I don't know. But I'm trying to, have her answer the questions, right? And I'm trying to build the blocks to get to the answer. Right. So
Okay.
I'm trying to see whether she knows. And so sometimes the objection to your question is you are trying to get someplace in your head, but you don't know how to get there. So it's this big, vague,
Okay.
general question. If you're trying to get to someplace potentially specific, you can ask questions that might build blocks to get there.
Okay.
So I don't know if that got to where you were trying to go. That sounded like where you were trying to go.
Yes.
But go ahead and you can ask questions.
Okay. So your position, you are raised by the front door. And were you used to seeing cadets come into the building?
Yes,
Was it normal to have them go into the director's office?
no, the only time I saw cadets go into the director's office would be if there was a discipline issue that the director was dealing with, or if the director was a sponsor.
Okay. I want to ask about a specific situation, which happened December 13th of 2019. My A-team students that I sponsored had informed me that they were to go to the director's office and were questioned. There were 4 of them, I believe. Do you recall that situation?
I'm going to object on relevance here.
I'll overrule for now. Go ahead and answer.
I don't recall.
Okay. The one meeting you had referenced was when I had met with Director Scott Pavlak, was when he just began working there, and it was November 11th, I believe. Or yes, November 11th of 2020. And he had left his office door open. He told me that when I had arrived, and the administrative law judge had asked if you had what you remembered. One specific thing I wanted to ask is if he had given me that policy and procedure handbook notice that was not relevant to the incidences that were being discussed. He had also mentioned about having an outside agency or entity investigate any future investigations. Do you happen to recall that conversation?
I'm going to object on foundation, Judge.
Yeah, so Miss EIRSCHELE, I mean, so you're leading. That's really what the problem was, right? Is that you're trying to get a lot of testimony that she may or may not recall, and rather than just ask her about it, you just kind of justified you were going to ask a question and then you made like 5 or 6 statements,
Okay.
and now you're asking her if she recalls that.
Okay.
As far as foundation, I mean, I guess the foundation is if she recalls it, she recalls it, but the problem was the leading. So now we don't generally follow rules of evidence, but the concern with leading is that you're saying it and not the witness. So as much as possible, you want the witness to be testifying, because otherwise I have to be able to attribute it to her and not to you. So I understand the objection. I'm going to overrule, and I know you're pro se, but if at all possible, and I promise you it's gonna be a lot more helpful to your witness if you don't throw in 5 or 6 statements into a question, because now she has to follow
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Were you able to follow her, Ms. Rapp?
Yes. Would you like me to answer the question?
Yeah, do you recall that?
I don't recall specifics of that conversation.
In your opinion, do you feel that cadets feel secure in reporting concerns regarding discrimination or unfair treatment without fear of retaliation?
Yes.
In your experience, do you feel that Academy staff feel safe raising concerns about discrimination or unfair treatment without fear of retaliation?
I think so, yes.
And then is there anything else that you believe may be relevant or pertinent that we may want to know for this hearing?
No, but I did want to clarify one thing because recall if anyone asked when I stopped working at Academy, and I just for the record, my full-time employment ended in January 2023, and then I was an LTE for some time after that until a new secretary was hired, and I forgot to mention that. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you doing this. So, thank you.
All right, so now Attorney Petering is going to ask you some questions.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Ms. Rapp, you testified that you began your employment in September 2019. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what was your position?
Confidential secretary.
And as the confidential secretary, can you please describe your job duties?
Yes, so I kept the files up to date. Sent out mailings to schools, school districts, DPI, parents, just sort of administrative type work.
And were you the confidential secretary specifically to the director?
No, it was just in general for the whole academy.
And just to clarify, I know the judge had asked you a few questions about the occasions on which you observed or occasions where you noticed meetings between the director and the deputy director. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how often were those meetings?
Are you talking about Director Greenwood, Director Pavlak?
Thank you. Director Greenwood.
So the frequency of between Deputy Director and Director Greenwood?
Correct.
You're asking? Okay. When they were both there, they would meet every day. So I would say several times a week.
And you don't know the subject matter of why they were meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct. I do not know.
Regarding the meetings between Director Pavlak and Deputy Director Greenwood, I know you testified about the frequency of their meetings, but you did not know the subject matter of their meetings. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And regarding the frequency of meetings that Andrew Paulson had with Deputy Director Kruger, you did not know the subject matter of those meetings, correct?
Correct. I did not know.
And regarding the one meeting where you had your door open, I believe you testified it was, or I believe the question was posed to you, it was a meeting on November 11th of 2020. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if that's the date.
Okay, but it was a meeting where Director Pavlock kept his door open when he was meeting with Miss EIRSCHELE. Is that correct?
Yes, I do recall that day. Yeah.
Did you take notes during that meeting?
I don't believe I took notes during that meeting.
Okay, so it was not a noteworthy meeting then.
Nothing struck me as noteworthy. Didn't write anything down.
Thank you. I don't believe I have any other questions for you, Ms. Rapp. I thank you.
So, Ms. EIRSCHELE, you have an opportunity for redirect following those questions if you think that there's something that needs to be clarified.
I don't believe I do. I don't have
All
anything.
right. All right. Well, Ms. Rapp, I thank you for taking time out to testify. We very much appreciate it and hope you have the good rest of your day.
All right.
You can leave
Thank
the
you.
platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, Ms. EIRSCHELE.
Okay, next one.
Yep. Are you going to need a little time for her to get on?
I think
You want-
she's ready. She's calling in.
Okay.
It says calling in. I don't know if that means signing in or calling or what.